The call came at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. Positive contact. 14 days. Effective immediately. No warning, no preparation window, no chance to run to a store. Just a phone call, a government contact tracing number, and a door that was not going to open for 2 weeks. We had food. I want to say that up front because this list is not about food. We had medicine. This list is not about medicine either. In the first 24 hours, we felt covered. Stocked fridge, full pantry, pharmacy bag on the counter. The basics were there. What we were completely unprepared for was everything else. Not the calories. The other 14 days. The psychological weight of walls that do not move. The physical deterioration of a body that stops moving. The logistical gaps that nobody thinks about until they are staring at a dead phone at 2 a.m. trying to remember a phone number they have never once memorized because it has always been in a device. This list is those gaps. 9 things. Not food. Not medicine. The other layer that most people only discover is missing when the door is already closed. I know what the first reaction is. You are prepared. You have what matters. Food, water, the basics. I thought the same thing the Wednesday before that phone call. What I did not understand until day 3 is that being prepared for a quarantine is not the same as being prepared to survive one well. 14 days inside the same walls with the same people, no exit, no timeline flexibility, is a specific kind of pressure that has nothing to do with calories. What it does have to do with is structure, sensory environment, physical capacity, and psychological tools. None of which appear on any standard preparedness list I have ever read. Let us count down. Number 9. A deck of cards and 2 physical game sets. The television was on for most of day 1. By day 4, nobody wanted to turn it on. Screens, which had felt like entertainment at the start, started feeling like another wall. Passive consumption in a situation where you are already passive is not rest. It accelerates the flatness. Here is what most people underestimate about 14 days indoors with other people. Boredom is not just uncomfortable. It is corrosive. Research on psychological responses to isolation consistently identifies unstructured time as one of the primary drivers of anxiety and interpersonal conflict during confinement. It is not the confinement itself. It is having nothing to do inside it. A standard deck of cards handles this in a way no streaming service can. It requires presence. It requires another person. Creates a defined beginning, middle, and end to a block of time. It generates genuine competition, low-stakes tension, and small wins that the brain actually registers as reward. 2 people at a table with a card game are not the same 2 people as 2 people on separate ends of a couch staring at separate screens. Add a compact board game or a puzzle that takes multiple sessions. The physical object that spans several days becomes a shared project. Something unfinished in the corner of the room that you are both coming back to. In 14 days of sameness, that matters more than most people expect until they are inside those 14 days. Both fit in a single box. Cost less than 1 streaming month. Never need charging.
Number 8. A dedicated journal and 2 quality pens. My sister described something to me that I have thought about every day since. She said that around day 5, she stopped being able to tell the days apart. Not because she was confused. Because nothing was different between them. Every day had the same shape, the same walls, the same sequence. And when days stop being distinct, time stops feeling real. By day 8, she said it felt like the quarantine had already lasted a month and had also somehow only just started. A physical journal solves this in a way that no app replicates. The act of writing by hand at the end of each day forces the brain to separate that day from the ones around it. You are required to locate yourself in a specific 24 hours, name what happened, describe what was different, even if the difference was small. That act of narration is not journaling as therapy. It is journaling as time structure. It is a cognitive tool that creates the experience of days passing rather than time pooling. Beyond structure, writing by hand under prolonged stress has documented effects on cortisol regulation and emotional processing. The physical act of forming words on paper creates a kind of discharge that typing does not replicate in the same way. 2 pens because one will run out. The journal should be physical and dedicated, not a notebook that already has shopping lists in it. Separation matters. A specific object creates a specific ritual, and ritual is one of the most powerful psychological anchors available inside confinement.
Number 7. Cash. Small denominations. By day 6, we needed something delivered that the delivery service did not accept digitally. The driver could not process the payment through the app due to a network issue on their end. They needed cash. We had none in the house. Not a single bill. This is a gap that almost nobody thinks about because cash feels archaic until the moment it is the only thing that works. During a quarantine, you are entirely dependent on delivery. Delivery drivers sometimes cannot process digital payments. Tips in cash are expected and occasionally required. Emergency situations arise where a neighbor helps with something unexpected, and you want to compensate them appropriately without the transaction going through an app. There is also a more fundamental issue. During a sudden quarantine, the network infrastructure around you is often under stress at the same time yours is. Payment systems go down. Apps fail. Card readers malfunction. The one thing that always works, that requires no signal, no battery, no account verification, is physical currency. Keep a minimum of $200 in mixed denominations in your home at all times. 20s for larger amounts. 5s and 1s for tips and small transactions. In a drawer that is not your wallet. The moment you spend from it, replace it on your next errand. It costs nothing to maintain because the money is yours. It is just in a different location.
Number 6. A high-capacity portable power bank. The phone becomes everything during a quarantine. It is how you communicate with anyone outside. How you receive medical guidance, test results, official updates. How you order food, manage deliveries, coordinate anything. How you contact help if something goes wrong inside the household. Which means the moment the phone dies, your primary connection to the outside world dies with it. My sister's apartment had 2 wall outlets that were accessible from the couch and bed. Both became constant competition between her phone, her laptop, and anything else that needed charging. On day 9, during a power fluctuation that lasted 4 hours, every device ran low simultaneously. She had a small power bank that extended her phone by maybe 20%. It was not enough. A high-capacity power bank, 50,000 mAh or above, charges a modern smartphone approximately 10 to 15 times from full. It charges from a wall outlet in advance during normal conditions. During a power interruption, it becomes the only power source in the room that keeps your primary device operational. It also charges laptops, tablets, and earphones. One device. Complete coverage for everything that matters. Do not buy the smallest one available. The cost difference between a low-capacity and high-capacity bank is less than a single grocery run. The capacity difference is the difference between 3 hours of phone life and 3 days.
Number 5. Resistance bands and a jump rope. On day 3, I felt it for the first time. Not tired. Not sick. Just heavy. The specific physical weight of a body that has not moved enough. By day 6, it was constant. By day 9, getting off the couch required a small internal decision in a way it had never required before. A body that stops moving does not just become physically weaker. It becomes psychologically heavier. The research on sedentary behavior and mood is unambiguous. Within 72 hours of significantly reduced physical activity, markers for anxiety and low mood begin rising measurably. This is not about fitness. This is about the basic neurochemical maintenance that movement provides. Dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. These are not produced in a body that sits still all day. They are produced in a body that moves. Resistance bands solve this in the smallest possible footprint. A set of 5 graduated bands weighs less than 1 kilogram and fits in a single hand. They enable over 40 distinct exercises that cover every major muscle group without a single piece of additional equipment and without requiring more than 6 square feet of floor space. A jump rope adds cardiovascular work in a similarly compact format. 10 minutes at moderate pace produces the cardiovascular equivalent of a moderate run. Neither requires space. Neither requires equipment. Neither requires any preparation or setup time that becomes an obstacle when motivation is already challenged. The obstacle to exercise during confinement is not willingness. It is friction. These remove the friction entirely.
Look at the pattern in what we have covered so far. Cards and games for structured social time. A journal for time structure and processing. Cash for logistical independence. Power for device continuity. Movement for neurochemical maintenance. None of these appear on any standard quarantine preparation list. Every one of them addresses a real documented failure mode that people only identify from inside the problem. The next 4 items are where that pattern becomes most concentrated. Number 4. Noise-isolating headphones with a long battery life. 14 days inside the same walls with other people creates a specific acoustic experience that most people are completely unprepared for. Every sound is louder than it normally is because there is nowhere to escape it. Every conversation, every keyboard click, every habit the other person has that you have never consciously noticed before, becomes present in a way that accumulates. This is not about conflict. It is about sensory saturation. Human beings require periods of genuine auditory separation from shared environments. We get this naturally in normal life by leaving. Going to a different building, a different space, sitting in a car alone for 20 minutes. In quarantine, none of those exits exist. The only tool that replicates the psychological effect of leaving a shared space without physically leaving it is personal audio. Noise-isolating headphones, not wireless earbuds but over-ear headphones with passive isolation and long battery life, create a genuine acoustic boundary. When they go on, the room changes. The other person understands that the headphones are not rudeness. They are a tool. They create the micro-separations within shared confinement that prevent the accumulation of tension that builds when 2 people cannot escape each other's sensory field for 14 consecutive days. Battery life matters more than audio quality here. The headphones need to last a full day of intermittent use without requiring a charging break that interrupts the function they are serving.
Number 5. Resistance bands and a jump rope. On day 3 I felt it for the first time. Not tired. Not sick. Just heavy. The specific physical weight of a body that has not moved enough. By day 6 it was constant. By day 9, getting off the couch required a small internal decision in a way it had never required before. A body that stops moving does not just become physically weaker. It becomes psychologically heavier. The research on sedentary behavior and mood is unambiguous. Within 72 hours of significantly reduced physical activity, markers for anxiety and low mood begin rising measurably. This is not about fitness. This is about the basic neurochemical maintenance that movement provides. Dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. These are not produced in a body that sits still all day. They are produced in a body that moves. Resistance bands solve this in the smallest possible footprint. A set of 5 graduated bands weighs less than 1 kilogram and fits in a single hand. They enable over 40 distinct exercises that cover every major muscle group without a single piece of additional equipment and without requiring more than 6 square feet of floor space. A jump rope adds cardiovascular work in a similarly compact format. 10 minutes at moderate pace produces the cardiovascular equivalent of a moderate run. Neither requires space. Neither requires equipment. Neither requires any preparation or setup time that becomes an obstacle when motivation is already challenged. The obstacle to exercise during confinement is not willingness. It is friction. These remove the friction entirely.
Number 2. A light therapy lamp. The first week of our quarantine, I noticed something in my brother's voice on our daily calls that I had not heard before. Not sadness exactly. Flatness. The specific absence of normal energy that you only hear clearly when you are listening for it. He attributed it to the stress of the situation. That was part of it. The other part was something more specific and more fixable than he understood. Without natural sunlight exposure, the brain receives no morning light signal to anchor the circadian clock. The result is measurable. Cortisol does not peak appropriately in the morning, serotonin synthesis drops, and melatonin release shifts in ways that produce low energy during waking hours and disrupted sleep at night. This is not seasonal affective disorder. This is basic photobiology operating in a confined space over more than a few days. A 10,000 lux light therapy lamp used for 20 to 30 minutes each morning within the first hour of waking has documented clinical effects on mood, energy, and sleep regulation equivalent to those achieved in controlled SAD treatment studies. The mechanism is not placebo. It is the same mechanism through which outdoor morning light regulates the same system. The lamp replicates the signal the brain is not receiving from the sun. These lamps cost between $40 and $80. They sit on a table. You use them while eating breakfast or reading. The research supporting their effect is not alternative medicine literature. It is mainstream psychiatry and sleep science. For any quarantine lasting longer than 4 or 5 days, this is not a comfort item. It is a maintenance tool for a biological system that degrades measurably without adequate light input.
Number 1. An analog clock. This is the one that takes explanation because it sounds too simple to be first on any list. A clock. You have one on your phone, one on your microwave, one somewhere in almost every room. Why would an analog clock matter enough to be the most important non-food, non-medicine item in a 14-day quarantine? Because every time you check the time on your phone, you see something else. A notification, a news headline, a message you have not responded to, a number on a screen that means something and pulls your attention into something other than what you were doing. The phone is your clock during quarantine. It is also your news source, your anxiety delivery system, your social comparison engine, and your work inbox. Checking the time and checking all of those things happen through the same device, through the same gesture dozens of times per day. An analog clock separates the function of knowing what time it is from the function of everything else the phone does. When you need to know the time, you look at the wall. The wall shows you the time and nothing else. The loop that the phone creates, check time, see notification, engage notification, lose 10 minutes, feel vaguely worse, repeat, is broken by the simple presence of a clock that exists independently of any network, any app, and any other information. The psychological research on quarantine and technology use is consistent. People who reduce incidental phone contact during confinement report lower anxiety, better sleep, and more accurate perception of time passing. The analog clock is the single lowest cost tool for reducing incidental phone contact because it eliminates the most common reason for picking up the phone. Costs $8. Plugs into a wall or runs on 2 batteries. It will outlast every other item on this list. Think about the first day of a quarantine with these 9 things present and without them. Without them. The first morning you wake up, reach for your phone to check the time, see 3 news notifications, feel the weight of the situation before you have had coffee. The afternoon stretches identically to the morning. The evening looks like the afternoon. By day 4, time has stopped having texture. By day 8, the tension in the household is something everyone feels and nobody is naming. The sleep is poor and the mornings are harder than they should be. The days are long in the wrong way. With them, the morning starts with a lamp that signals waking properly. Breakfast with 20 minutes of light exposure. A clock on the wall that tells the time without telling anything else. A journal entry that locates this specific day as distinct from yesterday. An afternoon that contains something to do with your hands and another person. A body that moved today and will sleep better because of it. Headphones that created 1 hour of genuine personal space inside a shared environment. The same 14 days. A different experience of being inside them. I did not have these things. I had food and medicine and nothing else. And I am telling you that food and medicine handled the biological survival requirement. Everything on this list handled the other 14 days. They are not the same requirement.
Here's what I did the week after my brother's quarantine ended. I put together a single box. Not a large one. Fits in a closet shelf. Inside it, a deck of cards, a journal and 2 pens, $200 in mixed bills, a fully charged power bank, a set of resistance bands and a jump rope, a pair of over-ear headphones, an eye mask and earplugs, a light therapy lamp, and an analog clock. 1 afternoon to assemble. Under $300 total for everything. The box sits in the closet. If a quarantine call comes tonight, I am not scrambling. I am opening a box.
Which of these is not in your home right now? Write it in the comments. Not for me. Writing a specific intention down measurably increases the probability of following through. That is behavioral research, not motivation. The comment is for you. I read every single one. Next video. Because quarantine is one kind of confinement. There is another kind, longer and quieter, that most households are not prepared for either. Subscribe if you want to know what that list looks like. One video a week. No more than that.